Yes, you magical being, thank you for being here, celebrating you for investing time into yourself. Another glorious episode, and I'm freaking excited about this one. I'm lit up. It's early in the morning. I was just sitting at the front having my cacao, and I was like, boom, this got to be shared, and it's got to be shared now. So welcome to another episode of Coming Home with Jenny Oceans. I am your host, Jenny Oceans, and I really need to create an intro that I can keep sharing that feels really aligned. But for now, let's show respect to the original custodians of this land that I call home, the original custodians of the Bunjalong country and the Yugambeh people. Deep respect for all who's walked before us, all that is walking with us, and all that will walk after us. Forever grateful for the deep connection they've created with Mother Earth. To live on the land and off the land. Deepest gratitude for all and everything that they share with us. To be such connected to the earth. Let's all just take a nice deep breath together. Keep your eyes open if you are not able to close your eyes, but take a nice deep breath in through your nose, all the way down your throat, down your chest, down your belly, and just let the breath sit in your belly as far down as you can get it. Just hold it there for a moment. Feel the sensation, feel the vibration. And when you're ready, let it go. Yeah. Landing in a moment, in a present moment in time. Now, I want to speak to you about something really freaking incredible that is so simple and is so profound at once. Now, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everything is meant to happen the way it's happening, and I don't think anything is just a coincidence. So if you follow along for a while, you will know I might jump here and I might jump there, I might curse, I might swear, but that's all okay. Just know that always receiving what you're here to receive and let go of what doesn't feel aligned. And if you hear something that doesn't feel aligned, allow for that to be gone, allow for that to let go. So use that as your point of reference, and that's my chair creaking. That don't ever soak anything up that doesn't feel right for you. Just let that shit go. So the conversation today is, there is 3 conversations in one, and we'll see where it leads us. But I really feel called to share it with you all. I'm going to try to find a comfortable seat so I don't keep moving too much for you, because that chair is really annoying. I choose to always be the student, and I do that because I want to be the student, and I'm here to be a teacher. So to be a really great teacher, I need to also choose to be the student, to constantly learn and expand and grow. And I've said this many times before that I don't believe that anything is really new. Everything is always available for us. It is when we are ready to receive it and allow for it to sink in that we really will learn it. But no one's really going to teach you anything new. No one is really going to teach you anything that wasn't available for you before. It's a matter of when we are being ready to receive that information. So yesterday I received 3 really, for me, key points, like 3 really important things from 3 different teachers. 2 of them were across other sides of the world. So I was on my way to an event and I listened to a podcast. And this incredible woman, Kate Northrup, she says, everyone's talking about charging your worth. You got to charge your worth. I've heard this numerous times, and I've been telling myself this for so long. You need to charge your worth, Jenny. You need to charge your worth. Everyone talks about charging your worth. And then she said, but we're all worthy. And I went, holy shit, Jenny. Here I am teaching women that we're all worthy of all and everything that we desire. We are so worthy. We're born into this world worthy of everything that we desire. But then I'm trying to charge my worth. How does that align? How does that even make sense? And she kept on talking in this conversation about how we're all worthy. And it just made so much sense to me. So that seed was planted into my soul garden, and it was actually ready to sprout because the information was not new. So the seed was already in there, but it was sprouted. It was ready to be sprouted. I was like, fuck, that makes sense. We're all worthy, and here I am teaching women that we're worthy of all of everything that we desire, but still I'm trying to figure out what to charge my worth. So I sat with that. I went to this event, amazing full day event. I learned so many things I already knew. Some things I knew, but they actually landed, connected with some beautiful people. It was amazing. And then another thing, a profound thing that also landed was this incredible speaker, Morgan. I don't even know his surname, to be honest. I've never met him before. Morgan something. He was on stage and he talked about many incredible things, many things I already heard before. And keep in mind, I've been in the self-development space for 20 years, right? So, and he said this thing, he says, we invest to collapse time. I was like, yeah, I know this. You hear this in the crypto space. You hear this all of the time. He goes, yeah, you invest. And you got to understand that when we watch a movie, for example, we all see and perceive and receive the movie in a different way. When we listen to a speaker, every single person in that room is going to hear things differently. I'm going to say that again. We all receive things in a different way. So he says that. He goes, we all invest to collapse time. And I sat with that and it went over and over and over in my head. And I went, holy shit. Yes, we do. I was like, I'm collapsing people's time for 20 years. What I've learned and soaked up in 20 years and continuing to learn new things, I'm collapsing for people so they don't have to go through this shit and take 20 years to get through that. Oh my God. And I sat with that this morning and I was like, holy shit. And I went back, I backtracked, and I was like, if someone 20 years ago, when I was 20 years old, said to me, I can collapse 20 years of, let's, ear quotes, 20 years of pain and head fuck for you right now, I would have laughed in the face and said, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean collapsing 20 years? No way. Just go and take your shit elsewhere. I would have laughed at them. And then I went, what if 20 years ago, and then I actually thought about that and I went, actually, 18 years ago, one of my employers, she forced me, it's a catering company, she forced me to come to ISA, which was a 3-day conference. And I said, I'm not doing it. She said, yes, you are. I've already paid for it. Signed you up. I'm taking it out of your pay a little bit at the time. You're doing it. I said, I don't want to. And I cried. I didn't want to. This is 18 years ago. She was a life coach and she also had a catering company. And she watched me and she's seen me and she see the shit that I was going through. I think this must have been actually 17 years ago. And I went to this conference and I was like, holy shit, that was too much for my mind. I couldn't cope. I didn't understand. Obviously, all of the seeds were planted in my soul garden, but I could not soak them up. My soil wasn't fertilized. There was no idea. My garden was full of weed, and there was no way I understood any of that. This is 17 years ago, and I think that was $3,000. I had just moved to Australia. I was with my then ex-husband, and I wasn't earning a lot of money. And I was like, I can't do this. Clearly, I could. Anyway. So if someone told me 10 years ago that they could collapse time for me, if I invested time and finances with them, they could collapse time for me, I would have said, nah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't know what you're talking about. But my mind would have been curious, right? Curious. And if someone said to me 8 years ago, you can invest time and money with me and I'll collapse time. Now, at this stage, I was looking. At this stage, I knew that my ship was sinking. But I tried to patch the holes up with Band-Aids because I didn't understand the value. I didn't understand that I was worthy. And I didn't have the financial understanding to invest finances and time with someone 8 years ago. So my ship was sinking. I realized my ship was sinking. I was in a sinking boat. It was sinking quick. There was holes everywhere, but I didn't understand how. So I grabbed everything I could for free. And I tried to use the band-aids, understanding metaphorically how I'm speaking here, that I grabbed all the free resources I could and I tried to patch all of my holes up in my sinking boat. It stopped it a little bit, but still I was freaking sinking. And then I started to invest in the cheap investments, cheap, everything I could grab for a few $100, $500, $1,000. I grabbed the whole of it. Sinking ship. I was literally grabbing things down, everything I could get a hold of. I found the people that was encouraging me and that I felt connected to, and I just grabbed every cheap offer they had because financially my mind wasn't there. And then 6 years ago, I was like, yeah, man, I'm paying for this shit. I need to learn all of these things. And as I was in that sinking ship, I used all of the tools I've learned from like 14 years prior to that. They started to pop up. I was like, oh, I got that tool. I got that tool. I got that tool. Let's use that. Let's use that. Let's use that. So even if the 14 years prior, I wasn't in a knowing and understanding of the investment I was doing, the tools that I was learning, they were actually in my tool belt and I started to use them. Anyway, and thinking about this when Morgan said yesterday how we pay, we invest financially and time-wise, we invest to collapse time. And now I'm sitting here going, my goodness, what I've learned over 20 years, I am collapsing the time for my students and my clients so that they don't have to go through all of that. But a very important thing to understand that also clicked in, we're not all going to be ready. Like I said to you, 17 years ago when that woman made me go to this thing, I wasn't fucking ready. No way I was ready for it. So there's going to be people in our lives, if you're a coach, if you're a mentor, or if you're on the other end, that I believe we're all teachers, by the way, but if you're there and you're like, oh my God, my ship is sinking, but you're not ready. We're going to be through different phases in our life, right? And I want you to know that where you're at is the right place for you to be. But once you get to that place where your ship is really sinking and you're like reaching, grabbing for everything you can, then I'm asking you to sharpen your sight and find someone that has been through many years of understanding and learning and practicing and implementing, understanding what works, what doesn't work. We're all different. There's no cookie cutters. I don't believe in cookie cutters. So when you're in that position where you feel your ship is fucking sinking quickly, don't just grab a hold of anyone and anything that you can. Make sure that you sharpen your sight and look for people that have a wide spread of understanding, because we're all different beings, have a wide spread of knowledge. Look for someone that is still learning. Look for someone that haven't just done the 6-week course, but they have actually lived the living experience. They have been through the different stages. And this is what landed for me yesterday. When Morgan said, he's like, we invest financially and time-wise to collapse time. I was like, holy fucking shit. It makes so much sense. And charge your worth. Oh my gosh. 20 years of learning, implementing, practicing, and fucking falling down many holes and coming back up again and learning what ways to get back up out of that hole works. Now that, for someone that's in a ship that's fully sinking and that goes, I need to do something now, if someone can then fully help you rebuild that ship and teach you how to rebuild that ship, so that if ever your ship is sinking again, you have actually learned how to rebuild the entire ship on your own. Now that's collapsing time, that's investing, and that's investing wisely. Now what that value is, you have to figure that out for yourself. It just blew my mind. This is not his words. Like, this is my words. What he said is, we invest to collapse time. Now, all of this other expansion of this is my words. It's what's come through in my mind and my understanding, but it makes so much sense to me. So I want you to think about that. it just makes so much sense. So 8 years ago, when I was in my ship, it was freaking sinking big time. And I was grabbing a hold of all the things. I was using the tools that I had in my tool belt that I had, but I didn't really know how to use them properly. But I just grabbed the hold of them and I was patching all of these holes up. And then I grabbed the hold of new tools, the cheapest ones I could find, because I didn't really understand the worth and the value in investing in these tools. And then I decided to become the shipwright. And I did. I did become the shipwright, metaphorically speaking, because if you've been here for a while, you know that I love speaking in metaphors. I love speaking in ways that is visual and you can actually understand it. And I transformed and I changed my life. I became the shipwright. Inside and out. Fully qualified shipwright that has gone through the apprenticeship for freaking by that stage it was like 12 years. And I have built ships that have sunk and I've fixed them. And now I build ships from scratch that are unsinkable, because when they get a leak, I know how to fix it immediately and I know how to find a leak before it even becomes a serious leak. Are you following? Honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, I would love you to reach out to me, and we're not done yet, but I just want to know if this is landing for you. This is so freaking cool. I'm like, this is insanely amazing. I actually want to create a masterclass with it because this is just freaking phenomenal. If it's landing for you, oh my gosh. It landed so hard for me when I really realized this yesterday. So freaking cool. So we invest both time-wise and financially to collapse time. So how can we invest time to collapse time? If we invest, let's say, a solid 6 months of learning something, then we're collapsing time. For what we will learn in them 6 months are going to make the rest of our life collapsing time, because we don't have to look and search for this information. We already have it. We've implemented. We learned how to use it. And for some, it might look like we invest money in a cleaner to collapse our time, because if we invest in that cleaner, we don't have to clean the house, and that will give us an extra, an hour a day or 5 hours a week, however long it takes for cleaning, that you can invest your time into other things. That is collapsing time. So however you choose to see it is amazing. Let's say for a garden, you can invest. You can collapse time by investing as really good manure, really good soil into your garden so that your garden grow quicker. Like, that's collapsing time. There are so many ways you can see it. It's slow cooker. I'm just looking at a Thermomix picture. It's like you're collapsing time by having a Thermomix. You're investing these nearly $3,000 for the new Thermomix so that you can collapse time. You put the ingredients in, you put the recipe in, and it does the thing for you. You have collapsed time. You didn't have to stand there and stir the pot. Now, what came to my mind is, please don't collapse time when it comes to cacao. But I really hope you're following along, because this is so fudging potent. And then the third thing that really landed for me is something that I have known, something that I truly know. But when it was said, again, the way I received it is probably very different from how others received. We were a room of like probably nearly 50 people, to be honest. And I can almost promise that no one received that message the way I receive it, because we all receive things differently. We all hear things differently. That's why we can be in containers and groups and classes and stuff, and we all receive it differently. But it ties into being in that sinking ship. So 20 years ago, someone said, do you want to invest a couple of grand with me and collapse 20 years of your time? I would laugh and say, what the fuck are you talking about? But looking now, going, oh my God, if someone offered me to collapse for $3,000 to collapse 20 years of understanding knowledge, holy shit, I would say yes. And when we're investing with someone and collapsing that time, we've got to understand that they've done, hopefully, that's what I'm saying, be really clear and do your research when you look for people to teach you things. Make sure that they have learned the things. Make sure that they have a big scope of knowledge and understanding, because You don't, let's say for breath work for some, you don't, as a everyday human that is not going to teach it, you don't need to know everything about it. You need to understand, your nervous system and how to use your breath, but you don't need to know all the terms and all of the things. It's not necessary knowledge for let's call it an everyday human, which sounds so blah, but let's just call it that. If you just want to learn it for your own good, to keep your ship, to stop your ship from sinking, you don't need to study that for months and months and months. And you don't have to invest $10,000 in learning that, And if you're going to go and do one of the cheap courses, putting the Band-Aids on the holes and sinking your ship, well, it's most likely not going to work. But if you invest with someone that has done the training and learned the training, and they can teach you with easy bite-sized pieces to give you the information that is needed for you to just live a beautiful life, then that's really worth investing in. Like, do you understand my point? I really hope you understand. So when you're in this sinking ship and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do now? Look for someone that has a wide scope of knowledge and understanding, someone that has done the training, but also been through the experiences, because you can do the training, but if you haven't had any shitty experiences through it, and if you haven't actually implemented the tools, then they don't know how to use the tools. It's like go and buy, let's say you were going to go and buy tools from a makeup shop, like actual drills. What the fuck are they going to teach you about using the drills? Unless it's, multifaceted human working in a makeup shop, but you know what I mean? Go and buy makeup from Bunnings? No. So make sure that when you're in your sinking ship and you're like, what the fudge am I going to do? Look for people that have got a wide scope of knowledge and understanding and training, but also make sure they have used and practiced it and not just done the course to have a certificate. Make sure they've trained through it. Make sure they've used the tools. Make sure they've been through the shitty holes and used the tools so they know how to actually use them and when to use them, because we're going to learn plenty of things that's not going to be necessary for everyone. It's just so profound. My mind is like blown from this realization I've had, and also realized that I don't believe that anyone's going to give you anything new. Everything is always available for you. It's a matter of it landing for you. And the third thing that came through yesterday, that is something that I really know. I've studied this. I've known it. I've lived through it. But through recent experiences in my personal life, it really made sense yesterday. It just like, boom. It's like that seed had already sprouted. It had bottom roots, it had top roots, and all of a sudden a flower came up. So when I'm not going to go into the terms of this because that's a totally different episode, but if you're interested in learning, please reach out. But when we're in a state of, if you're approaching a person and they're in a hyper aroused state, I'm going to try to explain this in a way of we understanding, then we approach this person, most likely they're just going to be meh, nothingness. There's no response. They might just start talking about the freaking sunshine or the dinner tomorrow, or you have a conversation with your partner that is a deep, important conversation. It'll be like, oh, actually, by the way, we've got to pay that bill, or what's for dinner tonight? Talking about something totally irrelevant, because they're in a state of not really comprehending of what is actually going on. And there's like a blankness, there's like a filter, there's like a meh. There's like this nothingness in their mind. And this is true for very many people. And when this conversation came up yesterday, he wasn't saying it like this at all. He was just speaking about a hyper-aroused state and a hyper-aroused state, and being in the middle where we're actually just neutral. And a window of tolerance. And when we're in that state of being us, humans, as purity, and not being altered by our nervous system. And it just made so much sense. I'm like, I need to talk about this. Like, have you ever had a conversation with a friend or an employer or employee or children or partners or friends or anyone, and you say something and it's like, my God, did they not register what I just said? There is no real answer. There's no response. It's like a nothingness. I'm sure you've been in a conversation like that. And it's not that they're ignoring, it's not that they're not interested. It's like that they're actually in a state of shutdown. And I was not going to go into the deep conversation about understanding it, so I'm not going to. And if we're in the other state of it, where we're in a hyper aroused state, people are often in defense. So you can have a conversation with a friend, or you can say something. Have you ever said something and people are like, hoo, ha, putting up the defense shield straight away, and they're into attack? Let's go force. My partner used to say this to me a lot. He's like, oh my gosh, you're just always going in for battle. I'm just saying something, you're going in for battle. And I'm still like that sometimes with him. But it's really interesting that when you can have conversations with people that are in this hyper state, and they just straight away in defense. Why are you attacking me? Why are you saying this about me? Why do you do that about me? Why do you think this about me? No, that's not how I do things. No, that's not what I said. They're always on the defense. They're like, shield up, sword out, let's go to attack. Have you ever been in a conversation like that with someone? And I had a conversation recently where that was the case. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And if that would have been me years ago, I would have been in that fight. Like, I wouldn't pull my sword up and I was in a sword match. Like, I would have been battling. Let's go. Let's battle. Let's see who wins this fight. Because I would have been in a hyper state as well. And I would have been in defense as well. So it would have been like, why did you say that to me? And I would have been, I said that because of this. Bah, 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 bah. And we're all of a sudden in this freaking war against each other. But the magical thing that happens when we come into that beautiful state of life where we want to be, and window of tolerance, and the more we learn to regulate our nervous system and utilize our breath to regulate our nervous system and other tools and practices, that window becomes wider and wider and wider and wider and wider. And you've often heard me say that things don't actually bother me anymore. Things actually don't bother me. People can say things to me and I'm like, it's okay. And you got to realize too that when you're in this state, that really pisses people off sometimes. They're like, why is my fuel on the fire not making the flame go bigger? It's because it's not actually affecting me. I'm not here to protect myself. Don't have to protect myself. There's no war. There's no actual battle going on. I'm not in a fight or flight state because I'm actually regulated, and I don't have to pull my sword out because my nervous system knows that this is not actually war. I don't need to protect myself. I am safe. This is just a human being having an opinion about me or having a reaction or have something to say, but that doesn't have to wobble my state. It's just their opinion, and that's okay. It's not me. It doesn't affect me. And this is such a beautiful place to be, and this is where we all should be, to be honest. But most people are not, because so many people are in fight or flight. And you got to understand there's two different sides of it. Like we said, it's the hyper and hyper. It's the place where it's like, meh. Or it's the, I'm in battle, I'm ready to battle, and defensive. But the more you regulate your nervous system, and the more, people talk about this inner work, inner healing. Yes, it's really important, but more than anything, what I'm starting to realize, it's you can't just work on your mind and not incorporate the body, your nervous system. It's like another thing that was said yesterday, which is so cool. It's like, let's visualize you have a pot plant. Thank you, Chris. Let's visualize you have a pot plant and you do all the mind work, which is the flower, but you don't do any somatic work, any body work. And this is why I say it's somatic healing. But you don't do any bottom work. It's like putting a seed in. Have you ever done this? I've done this so many times. You put a seed in to grow it, and all of a sudden it just sprouts. In like 2 days, it's fully sprouted and it grows really, really, really tall. Like, have you ever done this? It's so cool to watch. And the sprout just grows super tall, and then the stalk is super, super tall and super, super thin, and is starting to limping a bit. And then leaves come up at the top, and it's this tiny long stalk with these leaves, and it's starting to leaning over because it grew so quickly, and then it just dies. Why? because there's no roots. It didn't grow roots. It just grew up, shot up straight away, but it didn't grow any roots. And I remember one of my previous coaches, amazing woman, love her deeply. And she said, I'm not a fucking tree. I don't stand still. And I'm like, I'm definitely a tree. My roots are so deep, so deep. And it's just different ways of seeing and understanding things. But I remember I always said, I am a tree. I have a tree tattooed on my leg with lots of roots. I'm definitely a tree with lots of roots. But if we plant that seed, so number one, there can be no wholeness, there can be no growth if we don't plant a seed. Now, if we only focus on the mindset, then it's going to grow that really tall, really quick, and then it's going to fall over and things are going to be fucking shit again. So we've got to focus on the roots as well. And what I say to my clients and my students is, when we're planting a seed, we need to nurture the soil. We need to make sure we have the right soil. We need to make sure that the pot or the garden bed is placed in the right sun direction. We need to make sure we prepare the soil. We need to make sure we put the right manure in it, the nurturing, the whatever it is, nurture, nutrition in the soil. We need to make sure that we plant the seeds how they're meant to be planted in the right season, and we need to make sure that we water them correctly. They're all going to be watered in different ways. Lots, little, lots of sun, little sun. And then we need to continue to nurture them. So when weeds grow, we need to pick the weeds up and remove them. We need to continue nurturing these seeds even when we can't see them. And then the roots are going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden it's going to sprout up. And if we have nurtured both the somatic, the base, the roots, and the mind, it's going to grow into a beautiful plant. And when we forget about it and we leave it aside, the weeds are going to grow, there's going to be no nutrition in the soil, no water, and it's going to die. But the roots most likely are still going to be there. So we just have to continue working both at the top and on the bottom. So I've done 20 years of self-development. I would say actually ages. So 12 years of just the mind, understanding the mind, and understanding that the first 10 or 7 years of my self-development, I had no idea what was going. I was reading the books, watching the videos. There was no podcast back then, no social media, but I was reading and watching the movies and stuff, but it didn't really make sense. But I was still planting the seeds, mind you, and the seeds are still there. But I lost my chain of thought. What was I going to say with that? Oh my God, it just fully lost me. Yes, I did so many years of just the mind work. I've seen psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors and all of these things since the age of 5 until the age of 32. I did so much with the mind, and nothing really seemed to work. And 7.5 years ago, I entered a journey of breath work. Holy macadoodie. It just changed so much. But the weird thing was that I invested in a beautiful woman that's done breath work for over 20 years. I did a course with her, and it was so cool because we did breath work. I think we had one breath work session online every week. And things just changed inside of my body. Things just started to change. And it was, I'm just going to turn the light down on my computer. It became very bright all of a sudden. And things internally just started to shift and change within me. And I didn't know what was going on. I just started to feel better and better and better. It was like things was unraveling inside of me, but I didn't really know what was going on. And it just became really inevitable for me to understand the shifts and changes that when I started incorporating my body, my breath, so many things changed. And then about 2 years ago, I started to delve into, actually a year ago, 1 year ago, I started delving into the nervous system. And oh my God, my mind was blown. And now I'd entered a state where I was like, done so many trainings, so many learnings, so many teachings, so many 6 years of having a business coach and a personal coach. And now everything just started to make sense. I started to incorporate the body work into it. And I've done the movements and the body works. And actually 2 years ago, because I did my cold water immersion training quite a lot before I started doing my breathwork facilitator training. And it all started to make sense. I started to understand the nervous system. I was like, oh my God, I knew for so many years that my nervous system was shot. I knew I was in fight or flight. I knew I was in freeze. I spent so many years in freeze. And, but then it started to make sense and everything started to change. Everything started to change. And 4 years ago, I've said to you so many times that 4 years ago, I started to put aside 2 hours every single morning for myself. And it changed my life. It changed my nervous system. I truly and deeply reset my nervous system. And then 2 years ago, I started to incorporate cold water immersions. And then a year ago, I started to really understand the breath. I've been doing breath work for 8 years. But a year ago, I started to really understand the breath. So breath work for 8 years of understanding how to use my breath, but then incorporating the breath with the nervous system just really started to change things so much. And to be honest, I have honestly absolutely transformed my life, and it's not finished. I don't believe there's any finish line. I know where I'm going, but there is no finish line. Take the scenic route, guys. I don't believe in the finish line, but I have truly transformed my entire life. And beautiful Chris, he often laughs at me. He's like, you and your fucking 2 hours. Do you really need 2 hours? And laughing at me in the most beautiful way. And he said the other day, he shared that he was sitting in his driveway, which is funny because I sit in my driveway every morning. And he said, and you got to understand that this journey changes all along. Like we change how we do things. Sticking to a routine just because sticking to a routine is bullshit. Sorry, guys. We stick to a routine until it feels good, and then we can change it up and try new things and remove things and do things differently. My mornings look very different now to how they did 4 years ago when I started implementing these 2 hours every single day. Still take time for myself every morning though. But he sat on driver, he watched his kid playing with chalk, and he just sat in his camping chair and he just felt this pure bliss. He was like, it just felt so good. I was like, yes, mate. And that's the state that I've truly come into. And I said to him, I spend about 70% of my day in that state. And that is no bullshit lie. Yes, life goes up and down. We have emotions, we feel them. But honestly, I have transformed my life that much that I spend 70% of my day feeling pure bliss internally, feeling absolute worthy, absolute abundance, absolute wealthy and healthy and loved and joy and peace. And I just feel so fucking good. And this wasn't always the case, guys. I've talked to this so many times. Like I used to live with daily anxiety, weekly panic attacks, so many shitty moments. But I have honestly come to a state, we're going to wrap this up now, but I've honestly come to a state of feeling, I can honestly say 70% of my day, I just feel so much joy. And when he shared this yesterday, I said, mate, this is how I feel 70% of my day. And he goes, wow. I said, yes. So my 2 hours every day that I did for so long took me to this place. It absolutely reset my nervous system. It made me see and appreciate life. It made me see abundance all around me all of the times. I look at rain and I see abundance. I look at birds, I see abundance. I look at plants, I see abundance. I see abundance everywhere all of the time. I have such deep appreciation and gratitude for the things around me and inside me. It's not bullshit. Like 6 years ago when I talked about this shit, it was bullshit. It was, I didn't understand it. Now I understand it. And it's a really beautiful place to be, and people will not understand it until they experience it. Like, he's an incredible man with so much knowledge. And until he had that experience sitting in that driveway in a fucking camp chair watching his kid do chalk, he didn't understand what I've been talking about. It just landed. Nothing new. It just landed. That's what I'm saying, guys. So when you come to a state like this, where you're not in attack and people can say things to you and you're not attacking back because you know there's no need for it, people are going to look at you and go, what the fuck is wrong with her? Why is she so delusional? If I can't tell you the amount of times that I'm being told that I live in a fairy tale world and I'm fucking delusional and I have no idea about anything. Constantly, all of the time, I'm being told these things. And that's okay, because it actually doesn't affect me anymore. It used to, but it doesn't affect me anymore because I'd rather live my life. Yes, people are going to come in with their opinions about this and about that. You don't have to do this and you don't have to do that and you being like this and that. They're coming in from that attack state. And I laugh because I'm so proud of myself for being in the state I am. And people will not understand you until they get there themselves. And then they'll be like, oh. So we all choose how we want to live our life. And most people in the world are never going to get to a stage where they're in that sinking ship and they choose to become the shipwright. They're going to choose to blame the weather. They're going to choose to blame the material the boat was built with. They're going to choose to blame the brand of the boat. They're just going to choose to do all of these things. Most of the people in the world are going to continue doing that for the rest of their life. They're going to blame their job. They're going to blame their partner. They're going to blame the world. They're going to blame the government. They're going to blame every single thing. They're going to say it's because you married a rich ass man, or it's going to because you come from a wealthy ass family, or my life is like this because I'm from a poor family. It's because I have the generational trauma. People are going to blame shit for the rest of their life. I hope this is landing. I'm like, whoo, shoo, mic drop, ding. But when you come to this state, none of that matters because you feel so fucking good inside of yourself. And no matter what happens in your life, you just know how to ride the waves and you are the shipwright, so you know how to build the ship. So to wrap this up, guys, sitting here in so much gratitude for myself and feeling so freaking proud of the creation that becoming is. And I'm not here to sell you anything, but I'm sitting here with so much clarity going, my God, becoming is definitely collapsing time for people. It is 6 weeks that will absolutely collapse time. You place a value on that. I've placed a value on it for what I am willing to give that 20 years of knowledge, understanding, training, investment, falling down, and building back up again. I've placed a value on that. So it might not be ready for you. You might be in the state where you're not ready to do that, and that's okay. I'm about to upload a ton of free resources on my website, jennyoceans.com. And to be honest, make sure you sign up for my emails. If you're liking and wanting to receive more of my wisdom knowledge, go and sign up for my love letters on my website, jennyoceans.com, because this platform, jennyoceans.com, is where I'm going to be the most present. That's where you will get a hold of me always. These social media platforms, they will be on and off. My website, that's where I will be at. Make sure you sign up for my emails, my love letters. I'm not spamming you. I can't stand people sending emails every single week. It bugs me and frustrates me. I'm not going to do that. But I'm about to upload a bunch of free resources, because you might be where I was years ago when you're in that sinking boat and you're trying to just sticky tape the holes and grab a hold of all the free things. Please do that, because that's also valuable for you. So I'm going to upload a heap of free resources that you can download and utilize, and hold on to that. And maybe the day will come when you are ready to go, okay, I'm ready to become the shipwright. And if I'm your person, if you have listened here for 44 minutes and 4 seconds, then I think that there's something here that you want to receive more of. There's 4 rounds of becoming every single year. There is a limit to how many people that can be inside this container. And that's for the reason, because I want to be able that I can give 110% of myself. I don't want to water myself down. I want it to be potent. If you're ready to invest financially and time-wise 6 weeks into me, into yourself, then I want you to receive all of me. I do not want to water myself down and leave you feeling that you've just got scraps. So when you choose to come inside becoming and change your life and collapse your time, which sitting here looking back at, I'm like, holy shit, you truly are collapsing your time in such a potent way. then go on my website and enroll to become part of Becoming. The next round is going to be end of May, so there's still room for you to enjoy and come in, enroll and come inside. 4 rounds a year, whatever round you want to enroll into, just make sure you go and sign up so that the space doesn't get taken up. But again, if you are not ready, don't go there. Reach for the free resources. Come to the masterclasses. Come to the in-person events if you're local. Do the things that you can. Do what feels aligned for you in the right time. Everything is divine timing. Man, I'm so happy with this podcast. Woof, boom, boom, boom. All right, guys. Thank you for being here, celebrating you for investing this time on you. Know that every single time you investing time on yourself, on your growth, is an investment. It's not a waste of time. It's an investment. Whether you're ready or not, the seeds are going to be planted in your soul garden, and when you're ready, they're going to sprout. I'm sending you so much love and light. JennyOceans.com. Please go and sign up for my emails. And you can find me on socials. I am Jenny Oceans. And sending you so much love and light. If you are on the Gold Coast or Brisbane area, make sure you check out my in-person event. There's plenty of them. And there's also some retreats coming up that you can inquire about. All the love, celebrating you. Peace out.